longer in Scotland. We're kind of in my, you could say, second home. Little collection of islands called the Faroe Islands, which are bang smack in the middle between the north of Scotland, Shetland, and Iceland. So this is where I am, and right now I'm on the island of Suðuroy, and I'm at one of the highest points that you can drive up to at the southern point of the island, and this is where I'm going to be hopefully taking some photographs, but it's not looking so good. So I've been here a week and 2 days. This is actually Christmas Eve, it's the 24th of December, and normally quite a special day here in the Faroes, and everything shuts down. It's treated just like Christmas Day. So we have 3 days of food and celebration and presents and more food, which would be great. The last 7 days, last 7-8 days have been miserable. The weather's been horrible, very dull, low mist cloud, very cold, very wet, and just the craziest wind you can imagine. Almost impossible to really go out and take pictures, which is a shame. But today seems to be the calmest day we've had. So I just had to get out and hopefully get something. Come to just one of my many locations that I love here in Suðuroy. This is the whole of the Faroe Islands is a photographer's paradise. But what I love about Suðuroy the most is very few photographers come down here, because you've got to get a 2-hour ferry ride south down here. For me, it's paradise. I love it. The cliffs here are crazy. The weather here is crazy. The landscape is just beautiful. And I really starting to know this place like the back of my hand as well. I'm going to show you what it's like at the top of the mountain. I've just come off the summit just now. And I'm going to show you a few pictures as well that have been taken up there in the past. We've come down just below the summit. I'm going to show you these cliffs that we're going to photograph. And these cliffs are something that I photograph quite often, but usually it's from a lower level. Let's get out into this freezing cold, windy weather and hopefully get some nice dramatic photographs. So from here, looking pretty much that way, for 250 kilometers, and that'll take you to Shetland in Scotland. So that'll kind of give you a bearing of where we are. And down here we have the village of Sumba, and then you see all the rocks down here, and this whole water area around here gets some of the most violent in the whole of the Faroe Islands, and it just everything, the whole jet stream comes up here and smashes into the village of Sumba and these rocks. You can see down here as well how this hillside just climbs right up, and then from the top of there it's just straight down into the sea. And we have some guests. Hey, my fairy sheep. Over here in the kind of Atlantic Ocean, so here, straight up here, will take you towards kind of Iceland, Greenland kind of area. And you can see this rain coming in, the clouds all just around here. That's going to make quite an amazing photograph as soon as that gets further in. Down here, these are the mountains. These are the ones that I'm focusing on. These are the ones that I'm kind of wanting to photograph. Is just kind of all this high cliffs coming down this side here. Last time I was up here in winter, you were up here and there was about 2 foot of snow. And the photograph that I've taken up here that's been one of my favourites that I've taken is kind of all this mountain up here, and you can see that kind of pyramid form. Ooh, there, just there, the pyramid there. And this is what we were greeted with. So you can see where that's been photographed, with that here, standing here, looking up, that cloud's coming over, and the Aurora coming over that way as well. That was a very, very special evening. So all set up, Nikon D810 set up with a 70 to 200mm lens. I absolutely love it. It's definitely one of my favourite lenses. Especially with photographing this cliff edge, I want to zoom in and just kind of pull it all together, show the white tops of the waves and also that kind of dramatic mountain. The rain, the worst of the rain has now gone. There's still just a little bit of haze still kind of coming in. Some lovely light happening on the back here, and that seems to be breaking through, just giving enough light on that kind of cliff edge just over there. But again, there's a lot of haze, there's a lot of kind of swell being brought up. Although the water is not that choppy, I've seen it here. I've been here actually in some really bad storms, and it's pretty scary, to be honest. So I really think I've done what I can with this composition, with the kind of settings that I'm getting, bracketing between long exposures and short exposures, and I'll put the settings on in the picture. But it's just not really happening much. It's been shot in black and white. I think it's going to look best in black and white, and considering the conditions I've got, this is the best I'm going to get. But this is a lovely location. It's a nice, easy location to get to, and I'm very happy with this. I am going to quickly turn my attention towards the sea. Some amazing cloud formations happening in the sea behind me, and hopefully going to get something from there. So one of the areas that I've become very interested in recently is the sea and the kind of cloud formations. It's such a simple concept, minimalistic almost. You just have the sea and you have the clouds, and it's trying to make something like that seem really interesting, really dramatic. And I've had quite a few attempts and nothing really has stood out, but the cloud formations I have just now over here are just looking really, really nice. So I'm taking a few shots again. So shot using raw in black and white just to see how that's going to come out, and I'm just going to have a quick squint. Looks really good. Got a Lee hard grad, one stop hard grad on there, and that looks really nice. Some rain coming down, and there's a little slither of light just coming through, and that looks really nice. Bracketing my shots, one stop over, one stop under, and one as well with the exposure according to the camera. Perfect. I'm going to have to change my settings. At the moment I'm on ISO 100. I think I'm going to have to increase it quite high up, probably around, not even just up to 400. 400 is quite nice. Aperture was on f16 because I was shooting over there at f16. I'm going to bring it back down to f11, and hopefully the clouds haven't moved too much away. Just really nice to come down here, show you this location of just one of many here in Suðuroy, and through the next while that I'm doing these videos for Photog Adventures, I am coming back to the Faroes, so I'll be able to show you more locations, especially in the spring, in the summer, autumn and winter. We tried to come back for the season, so it's quite good. If anyone has any questions regarding the Faroe Islands, how to get here, where to stay, anything at all, please comment below, send me a message, and I'll give you all the advice. If you're planning on coming to Iceland anytime soon, I highly recommend jumping on a flight. It's an hour's flight from Iceland. It costs around about £200 return. If you are, give me a shout. If you're interested, give me a shout and I'll give you all the details. And hey, come in here, we can maybe hook up and I'll give you a tour. I am going to be running workshops here in the next year. I'm just finalised all the details. We're just getting the marketing done just now, but I am going to be doing workshops. I'm going to be teaming up with another photographer from the Faroes here, and we're going to be running courses. So if that's something you're interested in, please give me a shout and we'll send you the details for that. But for now, we get back into this car and go home and get some food, which I think tonight is fermented lamb, which I'm going to tell you, it's not that, it's interesting. I think you have to grow up eating it. I think they've got a ham for me, or a goose, one of the two. Anyway, thank you very much, guys. Take care. Welcome everyone. So a little bit of bonus material we're going to give you is a little bit more in depth into my editing side of things. I'm not a huge editor. I like to take my time with it. So my usual process for editing an image is to look at the images about a week or two after I've actually photographed them. Kind of sort them, go through them, leave them for a couple of days, go back again, look at the images, maybe filter out some more, do a little quick edit, and I tend to leave it about 24 hours between each edit, and I go back, add a bit more, go back, add a bit more. I have actually been known sometimes to leave it to months just because I'm not feeling the image, I'm not feeling the editing, I'm trying to reconnect with what happened that day. And I like to take my time and I don't like to rush. So it's very rare that you will see me be out taking pictures of the sunset and then have a picture up that night or the next day. I really do like to take my time with the editing process. I'm not a massive technical editor. It's something I am learning a lot more about. Definitely learning a lot more about luminosity masks and things like this just now. A majority of my editing is done in Lightroom, and that's what I'm going to show you today is kind of me editing a few images. So let's get started on it. Right, so what you have on my screen here is a selection of images that I've taken from my only video that I managed to get from the Faroe Islands. Again, just sadly due to the bad weather, I wasn't able to get out when I wanted to. So this is what I've narrowed it down to 6 images here. Some of them are already edited, 2 of them are not, and these are the 2s that I'm gonna kind of go through and show you. So the first thing we'll start off with is you might notice black and white. I'm a big lover of black and white, especially when things are looking really dull. I kind of go into black and white. So I have my own preset here with the black and white images, and you can see down here with black and white mix just what those settings are. No grain's been added to it or anything like that. It's just this is what I feel my setting that I have for my black and white photography. So what we're going to do first of all is start off with the crop. I always like to go for the crop, make sure that this horizon is straight. See what's going to work, whether it's going to work fine as the normal ratio or if we're going to go panoramic. But to be honest, I think I quite like this cloud that's coming in. It's kind of flowing from the left down to the right, and then you're finished off with the rain at the bottom. Now this is a raw image, so it's very flat. I say there's no processing been added to it yet, so we're just going to kind of go with the flow. So the first thing I'm going to do with is just tweak the exposure just a little bit. I mean, we're not talking much, but just to lighten that up a little bit. I am a big lover of contrast. You'll find that most of my images tend to have quite a lot of contrast in them. So we're going to take that up. I like to start up really high, and then as I go through the edit, maybe bring it down through there. Highlights. So again, just we've got this area here that I know when I start tweaking the settings, this is going to come out quite brighter. So I'm just going to bring it down, right down, just so we can start seeing the detail there. Increase that shadow just a little bit. There we go. The whites, again, we're going to bring them down just so we can get this detail in here. Okay. Blacks. Just take those blacks out. Clarity, I love a lot of clarity. I like to add a lot of detail into the images. Again, I don't want to add it all the way to the top, and sometimes what you get that haloing that comes, but from right now looking at this image, there's not really anything, so we're going to whack that right up. There we go. That's looking really good. Okay. Now I am going to use the gradient filter, or the gradient mask on the sky. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring it down just over the horizon, and the second bit down. So what I'm really doing is just creating that gap between the bottom of the cloud
and the top of the sea. There we go. Perfect. So again, just a little bit of the exposure, nothing too much. Whack that contrast up again. Bring the highlights down, right down, just so we can get that detail. And again, clarity is going to go up. I like to kind of bring the clarity right up full, bring it down and just see what's working best for me. But I really like how that black is coming out in this cloud here, but I don't want it too black. I don't want to kind of clip those blackings so it's nothing. It's the same with the whites. You don't want to clip the whites so that they are blown out. Come back in, look at the image. That's looking happy with the sky. We're now going to kind of do the sea. So same again, to reverse now, bottom of the clouds to the top of the sea. There we go, looking really good. And add some contrast just to darken that. Highlights, clarity. So bring out some of that detail. Now I'm going to lighten it just a little bit, take that blacks out. So I've already done lens correction on the image at the start. And what I've also done is I actually noticed there's a great deal of dust spots on my sensor. The fact that I've just had the camera back from being fixed with Nikon a couple of days, I was really surprised actually how much dirt was on it. So again, I just kind of tweaked that. Usually in Lightroom what I can and what I can't do, I'll bring it into Photoshop and take it from there. So let's just kind of bring out that white a little bit. It's really difficult, especially in black and white, to get a good balance between dark clouds that you've got there and then the light clouds on the right hand side, and also making sure that we can see that rain that's kind of popping out in between. Because we're using the gradient filter, there's not really much happened along the just above the sea where that rain is coming down, so we might bring in the filter and just add a little bit of detail in there. So just kind of brush along here just a little bit, just to bring it out. Check that to see hasn't gone over too much or I haven't missed anything. There we go. I'm kind of noticing as well that we have a wee dust spot. You can see here already the dust spots. I'll show you the whole image. You can see where I've removed all those dust spots. Can I bring out those whites a little bit more? That's looking really nice. Quite happy with that. Now, anyone who actually looks at this image, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm going to be honest with you, it's not 100% pin sharp. I'm not particularly bothered if an image is completely sharp. I mean, it helps if it is, but for some reason this image hasn't come out as sharp as I would normally like it. But there's something about with it being in black and white, it doesn't always really matter if it's pin sharp. I don't think it's important if you don't have an image pin sharp. As long as the image is nice, it's not completely out of focus, and it still has an effect. Now there's one thing you might notice on this image is down here from the kind of left middle, there's this white stripe that's come down here. Now I actually have a scratch on one of my leaf filters, and I'm wondering if this is what's been caused here. Is this scratch on the filter is now shown up in the picture, so that's going to be brought into Photoshop afterwards, and I'll edit that out. But I will do as much as I can right now in Lightroom, and I'll bring it into Photoshop later on and just kind of airbrush that out. So I'm really happy with that. I'm going to look at the before and after, and just so you can see it in color, and then coming into black and white as well, darken that just so you can see. So to the left it's the before, and to the right is the after. So now that we've edited that image, we're now going to go back to the second image that I'm ready to edit. So you'll see that this image is really dark. I have photographed this image dark. I tend to photograph, especially when it's clouds and the sea, photograph it a lot dark, retain that detail. So what we're going to do is start work on this image. This is the sea, looking from the Lopra sea cliffs, or just above the Lopra sea cliffs actually. And what we're going to do is kind of work that crop. Now along the top, to be honest, nothing's really happening. It's the same with the bottom. It's a little bit boring, it's not very interesting. So what I've actually done is cropped it, and I'll show you the before so you can see before. This is it. So you can see along the top here, not much has been happening, and what I'm wanting to do is kind of crop it from here And what I will do is often, actually always, I'll usually do a ratio of 2 to 4 for my crop. I'm a big lover of printing 40 by 20 inches, so that kind of crop ratio works best for me. Make sure it's nice and straight along the horizon. Looking good. And first thing I'll check is make sure that my lens correction and everything is on there, which it is. Okay, there's not a great deal of sharpening in the image, usually around about 20. I will never do usually more than 50 if I need to. And the luminance there is just up just a little bit, I mean 9, nothing. Okay, so first thing we do is go into exposure. We are going to lighten it a little bit. Just a little bit. There we go. Add that contrast. Bring the highlights down a bit more. And then the whites. Let's bring these whites up. Okay. Clarity, bring about halfway. Just to kind of get a bit of detail in those clouds and that sea. Zoom in just to make sure there's no haloing happening. Takes a wee second to render. There we go. So it's looking really grainy at the moment. Just checking that there's no grain on it. No, there's not. And what I might do is just kind of whack up that luminance just a little bit more. It was shot at dark. Again, I'm not fussed about grain. I quite like grain sometimes, as long as it's not too much and not too noticeable. I really like grain, so that's okay. So temperature, I'm just going to tweak this, just increase it, add a bit of warmth into it. There we go. So what I'm seeing from this is a really kind of grey monochromatic sky and sea, and then just having that orange kind of burst through that cloud, that little hint. I remember it was more of a tease that I was getting with that light, so that's my kind of goal with it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is jump onto the gradient filters. Once again, bring that down just to the horizon, and bring this one down to the bottom of the clouds. Reset these settings here. Highlights, going to bring it down a little bit, nothing too much. Shadows, just to get a little, take out that little bit of depth. Just playing around with the kind of color temperature of the sky. I'm liking how right around here it's all this grey, a slight hint of blue just in here, and then the golden light coming down here. Let's do the sea. So same again. Top line will be to the edge of the clouds, and then this will be to the horizon. Straighten that up. There we go. Contrast. Bring that contrast up. Highlights. Just to darken that sea a little bit. Bring those whites out. Clarity, as usual. Bring it right out. Okay, so what I want to do now is really work this sky over here. It's just looking a little bit purple. I've just noticed some spot marks appearing on the sky that I thought I'd taken out. Again, I'll go into Photoshop and I'll go zoom right in and I'll go through the whole image just to make sure that there is no dust spots left there. So I'm just going to kind of tweak this sky a little bit and just add that little bit of blue in just to see how that's going to be. Just increase it. I don't think it needs too much, but I'm just a bit concerned about that purple that's kind of coming in. That's looking better. Okay, so we're going to go into the color and just kind of make that orange pop a little bit more. The yellow and the orange already a little bit increased. I don't want to make it so it's looking too fake. I don't want to increase the saturation too much. I just want to kind of show it a little bit, so help it stand out just a little bit. That looks good. Have a quick look before and after. It's really good. I think we will crop it just a little bit more just before that white that's happening down here, that light that's coming through. So it's just at the side. There we go. I like to kind of look at the image and study the image for just a wee minute and just see what I'm going to change about it. I don't want to rush this. I feel if I lighten it too much, then it's going to take away from that orange glow. Again, if I darken it too much, it loses its effect. It's a very moody image. It's a quite deep image. It was the whole event. I mean, the weather was not the best. I'm very surprised at actually what I got from that outing. So, you know, I'm quite happy. There we go. I think I'm really happy with that. Let's go and look at the before and after, just so we can see the two together. There we go, before and after. So like I said before, I've gone for that very monochromatic sky and see it's very dark, very moody, and then you have that kind of orange light that's bursting through that gap in the clouds, and that tease that I was getting on the day. So, you know, there's a good contrast between the two of them, but I'm very happy with that. Okay, so that's just a slight introduction. I'm probably going to go into this a little bit more better on my own. I'm going to take my time with it. I'm going to come back to it again and look at it tomorrow. And it's the same with the rest of the images that I've been editing here. I'm going to revisit them a couple of times before I add them into the video and make it public. But I hope you like that. I'm a big believer that everyone's different when it comes to their editing. It's something that we're constantly changing. I know people can be very, very critical when it comes to the editing. This might not be your cup of tea. That's fine, that's okay. But this is what I like. This is the mood that I'm going in when I'm editing it. This could change completely tomorrow, and I'll redo the whole image. You know, you just never know. But for now, I'm happy with this selection of images that I've got from what was an okay excursion. So I hope you enjoyed this. As I say, this is bonus material, so if you're a part of a supporter of myself or, you know, the Photog Adventures, you're going to get these bonus editing videos. Okay, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.